Yes, just some slides to explain.
Do you want to start from your side or?
No, maybe in the middle. It's nice. So before break or just after the break.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me share the slide. Just a moment. Do you see the slide?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the second day. Yesterday it was orientation, right? And Taro-san spent a lot of time. But before starting the session, I'd like to explain about objectives of the class, right? So this course is trying to provide a very basic foundation for global management, right? And focusing on global mindset and global skills by providing a theoretical and historical background of the subject, right, related to global management, strategic management, and diversity management. Okay, these three terms are the key terms, keyword of this subject. Okay, and also we are trying to understand some sort of paradox of global management. So for me, essence of global management is to take a balance between efficiency and effectiveness, or global integration and local adaptation. Right? I'm going to explain these things later on. Okay. So what we need to do is we have to go beyond dichotomy. Have you ever heard the term dichotomy? If we take this side, we cannot take the other side. Okay. So this is the way we think, dichotomic way, right? But we have to go beyond this sort way of thinking. Okay, so this is what I call go beyond dichotomy. Okay. And the third one is I'd like to provide some sort of preparation for you to do business with the basic theories and frameworks, right? When you conduct business across the nation. Okay. And in order for us to do so, we need to understand diversity. Okay. As yesterday, one student mentioned about communication strategy, right? We need to understand the communication and the collaboration, because the competition of 21st century will be on collaboration. Okay. So collaboration becomes a key, especially in the age of digitalization. Okay. Not only competition, in order for us to compete, we need to collaborate. Okay. And last one is, right, last but not least, right, I want you to be aware of your mission of your life. Not only just focusing on how you are getting money, right? How we are going to become rich, right? I want you to think a bit more than that. And in order for us to do so, right, I'd like you to think about mission of your life, right? Because you are the selected person, right, who can study at Laos National University on the JICA program, right? A lot of people would like to study, right? However, not many people have opportunity, right? You are selected people, right? So those people has their obligation or responsibility. So in the French term, this is what we call noblesse oblige. Okay, so I want you to think about your own responsibility as a selected people, or business executive, or people who are working for your government. Okay? So at the Kellogg School of Management of Northwestern University, where I was employed, right? We are often talking about we have to, because you are successful people now, right? This is the reason why you can be studied, right, at the business school at a very good university in Laos, right? So you are already successful, but I want you to be significant. Okay, so in order for you to do so, we have to think about how we can conduct business with compassion. Okay, So throughout this class, right, I'd like to share about my way of thinking around these five goals or objectives. Okay. So the way we teach, right, the way we teach at the business school, we often ask you a lot of questions. Right? Not only I just give you my knowledge or information to you, right? This is so boring for you, right? So, but rather I'd like you to give us a lot of input, right? So I'd like to focus more on interactive session, right? With some sort of theoretical frameworks, right? In order for us to be more professional. So when I teach, I try to be careful to take a balance between academic rigor and business relevance. Okay. So I provide some sort of scientific approach with evidence, right? Academic evidence. But not only that, I'd like to share some of my business experience or my experience on the collaborative project with, for example, JICA and some of other governmental institutions. Okay. And secondly, I try to provide you the bird eyes view, right, from 100 meters or 50 meters above, right, from the ground, with very small view, right, on the ground, right. So this is what I call, right, strategic thinking plus operational sense. Right? Yesterday, some of you asked me a question, right? Formulating strategy, right, is very important, but to put those concepts into practice are much harder, right? So this is the truth. So unless we implement those strategies, which can be linked with activities of the people, right? Formulating strategy itself will not change anything. Okay, so important thing is for us to combine strategic thinking plus operational sense. And as I already explained, right, by exchanging, right, our ideas in the class, right, I'd like you to learn from others' experience as well, right? Not only from my experience, but also from your experience. And on the top of that, we're gonna study, or we can learn from the experience of some other top business executives, right? When we conduct the case study of Lego, right, you can study the experience from the CEO of Lego, right? The same things for ING Insurance and Rakuten. Okay. So before starting the class, right, I just would like to know if you still remember what we have learned yesterday. Okay. So yesterday it was orientation. Right. So Taro-san explained about the structure of the class, right? And also you kindly introduce yourself. Right. And also, like yesterday, I briefly explained about the case, right? We're gonna use 3 cases in this class. First case is Lego, right? At the crisis, right? The title of the case is crisis. Right? So when organization faces the crisis, right, how the top executives can reformulate or transform their strategy in order for them to survive. Okay, so for Lego case, as I explained to you yesterday, I want you to think about their situations, right, by adapting Michael Porter's 5 forces model, okay, for this session. Because of course, we can analyze that case in many different ways, but yesterday, some of you mentioned you have already studied, right, 5 forces model. So I think this is a good opportunity for all of you to put those concepts, right, when you analyze actual organizational problems, right? When Lego faces the crisis, how you are going to understand the current situation and how you are going to change some parts of organizational activities. Okay? In order for you to do so, you need to understand the current situation of yourself, as well as the customer's market trend. Right? On the top of that, you need to understand your competitors' movement. Okay? So in order for you to do so, right, Michael Porter's 5 forces models might provide you some good framework. Okay? And after Lego case, we are going to use ING insurance case. Right? This case, I'm not sure how many you have had a chance to go through, right? But if you read it, right, you can see this is exactly, right, about the business issues on Asia, Southeast Asia. Okay, so when companies operate their business across worldwide, right, what kind of strategic issues the executives might face? Okay, so ING insurance case will provide you very classic issues which executives might face when they operate the business across the world. Okay? And the last one is Rakuten's case. Right? This is also a very famous case developed at Harvard Business School. Right? When the top executives try to change their organization very drastic way, what kind of issues and problems the organization might face, right? So the Rakuten's case provide you that kind of very classic but important issues, right? So we're gonna use those 3 cases, okay? And next, right? Yesterday I haven't talked that much about perspective, right? However, when I ask you the question, right, about what is strategy for you, right? A lot of people, a lot of you, right, give me the different perspectives on strategy, right? When people say strategy is a perspective, the other people say strategy is some sort of plan to check action, right? The other person's strategy is for us to show the direction where to go, right? And we also discuss about strategy is not something, right, we can decide beforehand, but by doing, right, or adapting environment at daily operations, then looking back, right, from the present to past, then we can understand about the process of strategy. Okay, so like that way, when we talk about strategy, right, there are many different views about strategy, right? So yesterday I explained 4 P's of strategy, right? If you remember, right? Strategy as perspective, strategy as planning, strategy as positioning, and strategy as pattern. Okay, so this is same as marketing 4 P's, right? So in practice, right, we need to combine those 4 natures of strategies in order for you to formulate, implement the strategy. So as I explained yesterday, right, which perspective is superior or not, right, is depending on how you are going to define your business context. Okay. So as we explained, as we studied yesterday, right, I just briefly mentioned about basic concept of strategy, such as hierarchical understanding of strategy, right, corporate strategy, business strategy, and functional strategy, or operational strategy. Right? This is the way we understand the strategy, right, in relation to organizational structure, top management, middle management, and lower management. Right? And another way of understanding is 4 P's of strategy. Right? This is what I just mentioned. And what we are going to study a bit more in depth, right, in this session, right, is Porter's framework, right? 5 forces model and value chain. Have you studied the value chain? When you studied 5 forces model, right, with your professor, right? Have you studied the value chain?
Yes.
Yes or no? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, do you remember what kind of things? What's that?
On other time, I just remember that Professor explained about value chain and supply chain, how how different and how to add value chain, how to do supply chain, maybe something like this.
So 5 forces model, right? As I explained to all of you yesterday, right? In what kind of situations we can use 5 forces model? Does anyone remember? 5 forces model is right, to analyze what kind of environment?
External.
Yes, very good. Right? 5 forces model is for us to understand, right, ourselves, the existing competitive situations, especially for us to analyze external environment, right, outside of ourselves. Right? So similar to textual analysis, right? That kind of things in order for us to understand opportunities and threat, right? In relation to those 5 factors. Okay. And if I ask you value chain, right? Anyone, if you can answer, right? Value chain, right? In what kind of situations or in order for you to analyze what kind of factors you can use value chain? Does anyone has any idea? You know the term 5 forces model and value chain, right? But in what kind of situation value chain is effective? The reason why I'm asking is, do you know Tylenol, the medicine? Do you know Tylenol?
Yes, I know, teacher.
Right? And Tylenol is effective on what? That medicine. When you take that medicine?
Oh, headache? Oh.
Yes, headache, right? When I itchy my eyes, I don't take Tylenol, right? I will know, right? When I feel itchy on my eye, I just use eye drops.
Yes.
Right? So same things, right? You know eye drops, right? Or Tylenol, but this is not enough. In what kind of symptom, right? You can use those medicines are more important. Don't you think so? So it's same things. When you study the concept of value chain or 5 forces model, right? In what kind of symptom, right? You can use or what kind of diagnostic, right? You can use those frameworks. Okay, so this is the reason why I'm asking you. Okay, and that kind of things is, you know, when you take the class, right? Sometimes professors also, right? They don't explain that point clearly. One of the reasons is, right? They were not educated at the business school, right? Then, right? Some people know a lot of concepts, but the understanding of concepts are not that enough. So I think this is one of the reasons why people complain about, you know, MBA, right? Even you get MBA, you cannot do business, right? And some people complain, right? Business is not something for you to learn, but you have to practice, right? However, if you understand those concepts, right, more precise way, it could be help, right? When you formulate strategy, when you communicate with people. Okay. So in order for us to be more effective, right? When you learn those concepts, right? The important thing is, right? We have to understand the background of the concepts, why those concepts were developed, or where those concepts did come from. Okay. So for value chain, right? What we can do with value chain. Do you remember value chain? That kind of arrow thing, right? Maybe everyone can think about that shape, right, of value chain. And if you Google it, right, there are so many pictures of value chain, right? Right, so Michael Porter's, right, 5 forces model is for external environmental analysis, right? But as I explained yesterday, in order for us to formulate strategy, right, just analyzing external environment is not enough, right? We need to understand ourselves, right? So Michael Porter provides value chain for us to understand efficiency or effectiveness of our internal organization. So if you see, right, if you open the Google, right, you can see the items or concepts within value chain, right? What kind of things you can see on your Google? Yes, activities. What kind of activities you can see? Yes, that kind of infrastructures, right? And very basic functions as well, right? Production, procurement, that kind of things. Do you see? Right? So this is all internal factors, right? So now you know when you use the Michael Porter's framework, just using 5 forces model is not enough, right? By identifying your key strategic factors, right, using 5 forces model, next step is, right, for you to understand your internal activities, right, how you are going to produce the value, right? And when you say you're gonna shift one strategy to another strategy, right? Just saying is easy, right? Okay, now we were focusing on differentiated strategy, right? More high value product, but we are now shifting to more cheap end or low price or cost advantages, right? Everyone can say like this. But point is, in order for us to shift from differentiation strategy to cost leadership strategy, for example, what kind of activities do we need to change, right? What kind of functions do we need to adjust? And which one we can keep as it is, right? If we don't understand those other functions of organizational structures, right, just formulating strategy will not help you or help anyone, okay? So you need to combine those two concepts, right, when we analyze the strategy, okay? I'm going to explain later on. Okay. So this is the basic concept of strategy that we mentioned, but later I'm gonna show you the slide, okay? And the important thing, right, when we talk about strategy, right, at the business, right, why we are formulating strategy? Why? Why do we need to have a strategy? Why?
Because we need to do on the right thing for business.
Right thing, right? Yeah. We need to do right things. Yeah. Why we need to do right things?
Because if we do wrong, we have to pay more. Yeah, for the wrong thing. Yeah.
Yes. Why we need to pay, a lot of things? Why? Anyone can help us. Why? Yes, please. So we need to show the direction. So this is the reason why we have a strategy. But if I ask you the question different way, why we need to have a strategy? Why we need to show the direction? Why we are showing direction? Why we are needing the concept of strategy? Why?
Because we need to do the right thing same time.
Yes, right things. You are giving me same answer. Yes, but very good. Right things, right? What is right things and wrong thing? We need to have a plan to be implemented, right? Why we need to implement a strategy? Why? Yes, we need to reach our goals. What is our goal in business? So if you are the private institute, right? Why we are doing business? Why?
Professor, to my perspective, I think in order to get profit or to make money, to make profit, so that's why we start to do business. Strategy, it's mean we having strategy because of we don't want to fail in business. We don't want to get lost, so we won't. Thank you.
Right. So we want to do right thing. We want to show the right directions by utilizing our resources. Right? But if we waste resources, right, we cannot sustain our business, right? In the business institute or even governmental institute, right, we need to secure the minimum profit at least, right? Which is we can cover the all costs and expenses, right? Otherwise, it cannot be sustainable. Everyone agree? I'm not saying the purpose of business isn't just to earn the money, but earning cash, earning money, making profit, right, is essential for us to be profitable, to be sustainable, right? So when we say, right, formulating strategy, right, in the field of strategy or management at the business school, right, we are formulating strategy in order for us to get or to gain and sustain our competitive advantage, okay, in order for us to get competitive advantage. So this is the key issues of strategic management. So if someone asks you, right, why you are studying the strategy, right, you can answer, we want to understand the logic behind of the competitive advantage, how firms can gain and sustain competitive advantage. Okay, so it's same things if you are studying at a medical school, right? Everyone can answer, right, the objectives of study, right? But in the business, right, sometimes it's very hard for us to answer, right? But if someone asks you, right, that kind of same questions, I think important thing is at least for us to have our own answer. Okay, so when strategy, right, when you study strategy, right, strategy is, especially when we talk about competitive strategy, right, is about for us to understand the source of competitive advantage. And when we say competitive advantage, right, what does competitive advantage mean, right? So we have the clear definition, right, as a subject. So competitive advantage is defined, right? The firms or organizations has above performance than the average industrial profitability. Okay, Or if you are, for example, in the restaurant business, right? Restaurant business. In that case, right? If average profitability of restaurant chain, for example, is 5%, right? Just example. And if your company enjoy 6% of profitability, with that condition, right? In the field of management, we call the firm has competitive advantage. Okay. I'm not saying this is right or wrong. This is how we define the term. Right? Otherwise, if everyone can use competitive advantage in their own ways, we cannot do research. Right? We cannot accumulate knowledge. Right? So in the business discipline, right, if you study at the graduate level of a good business school, right, all business schools use the term competitive advantage in the same manner. Okay. So if your profitability is below the industrial average, then right, we are not having competitive advantage. Okay, this is a concept. So when we say gaining competitive advantage in the strategic management, right, meaning achieving above average profitability of your own industry or your own segment. Okay. So when we say sustainable competitive advantage is how we can continue that status, right? The year to the next year. Okay. So this is the basic concept. And the next question is why within even same industry, right? One firms can enjoy, right, superior profitability over the others, right? So in the field of strategic management, we are trying to see the reason within strategy or strategic factors. Okay, this is the way we approach, right, to these issues. Okay. Okay. So I'm not going to explain, difficult things, right? But when we talk about the field of management, you might have noticed we are slightly different from engineering, right? Or operational management or finance, right? Because business is conducted by people, right? So people is, right, not, people doesn't follow any rules, right? Or any kind of, regulations. Of course, sometimes we have to follow some rules and regulations, but, right, it's very difficult for us to understand people's behavior in advance. Even yourself, right? Do you plan everything before you go out every Saturday, Sunday, right? Of course, you briefly decide where to go, but in the middle of the road, you're gonna change, right? Or sometimes you are happy, sometimes you are unhappy, so you're gonna change your attitude, right? So this is the difference from natural science. Natural science, right? The objectives is there, right? If I have a pen, right? The pen is a pen, right? If I leave it here, if you come to Tokyo at my office, you can find this one, right? Everyone can approach because objectives is out there in the world, right? But social science, like organization or ourselves, right? This is not something like everyone can see same thing, right? Even the concept of strategy, right? We have a different views, right? For example, organization, right? At the business school, everyone use the term organization. But what does organization mean? Have you ever seen organization? Does anyone could ever see organization? Or everyone knows the concept of profit. Have you ever seen profit? Where? Where is the profit? Like pen, right? Everyone can see pen. But the profit, where is the profit? There is a number, right? There is a number, but where is the profit? Right? When we say organization, where is the organization? When we talk about the strategy, where is the strategy? Right? All of those things is the concept, right? Very fragile concept. Right? So this makes us difficult to communicate the concept of management, because management is, for me, it's a field of social science. It's not natural science. If natural science is easy, if we go to approach right away, everyone can find this pen, right? The important thing is if you have a right method or a right formula, or if you know the direction, right? So we can see right or wrong, right? But social science, right? Right or wrong, depending on, right, your value, right? So for some people, this is precious, but for other people, it is not, right? So it's all depend how you define the context, right? So it's same thing when we study management, right? We need to use our brain and we need to communicate with your colleagues in different manner from natural science, okay? So I'm going to explain just a little bit about this part, right? So if you see this, right, what is the second character? Does anyone can help? The second character.
13.
13. Oh, you see 13 already.
Yeah.
Okay, does anyone has any opinion? Kantari-san said 13.
Can be two. Can be guess two. 30 and B. Yeah.
13 and B.
Yeah.
Right? So if you read this way, it's B, right? A, B, C, D, right? But if you read, right, this horizontal way, it could be 13. Then the next of B, right? What can be here? What can be here?
12.
12,
Yeah.
13, 14.
Yeah.
Something like this, right? So, right? If you read this way, 12, 13, 14, 15. But if you read this way, it's B. Does everyone agree? Right? But in many cases, it's like this case, right? It's easy. Oh, right? If Kantari-san said, this is B, right? Everyone could say, this can be B, right? But if she said it's 13, everyone can say, yes, it could be 13, right? But in business practice, right? People fight each other, right? Maybe for some people, this is B, right? Some people say, no, this is 13. You are wrong. I'm right. And people fight each other, right? So in the business setting, right, we have to avoid this way of discussion or communication, okay? So like this, again, perspective doesn't matter, meaning that from which way, right, you can see B, right? From which way you can see 13, right? I'm not saying which one is right or wrong, right? This is what I said, go beyond the dichotomy, okay? So in order for us to avoid those conflicts, right? Some people say 13, some ladies say it's B, right? If we explain, if I read this way, right, it could be B, then the other person could understand this is a B, right? But if you don't communicate where you are looking at the objectives, right, people can not understand each other. So it's same things when we communicate, right, our business issues with your colleagues or your friends or even your family. Right? The important thing is not something that is right or wrong. Okay? There is no right or wrong thing in the business or social science. Important thing is from what perspective you are trying to explain your objectives. Okay? The same things when we do business, right? What is your purpose? What are your objectives? From which perspective you are talking about that product is important? For what? For who? Right? So everyone has a different ideas. So important thing is for you to define your perspective. Right? So this is the reason why I provided you many different perspectives on strategy. Okay? And I'm not saying which one is superior than the others. Right? The important thing is from which perspective, right? You are thinking one perspective of strategy is important. Okay? So this is the way, right, the manner of discussion in the social science. Okay? This is what you study usually if you study at a very traditional college, right, in the UK, right, or a very good liberal arts university in the States, right? This is what we study, right? Or in other words, this is so-called general arts. Okay, so in order for us to avoid, right, that kind of misunderstanding, first thing what we need to do is zooming out, right, to see more broad context, right? When we are talking about this, right, not only talking like this, right? We are trying to zoom out. This is what I explained, bird's eye view, right, from the top, right, and then, right, next step is you have to specify your perspective, right, and standpoint. And the next step is defining the word. And because we are communicating, right, our issues by using the concepts, right? We are communicating with our words, right? So if we don't understand strategy, right? If I don't understand the concept of strategy very well, or if everyone has different ideas of strategy, how come we can communicate each other, right? So next step is we have to define the words. Okay, it's same thing. When we say customer, to please customer, right? To acquire more customer, it's easy to say, right? But we have to define what kind of customer, who is a customer for you. So this is the way that we communicate in the business. And third one, this is slightly difficult, right? This is, but very important in social science, right? Identifying context before fixing the view. Okay, if you see B, right, only this side, right? Before fixing B, right, you try to understand the context. Okay, and the fourth one is, right, understanding reality through multiple lens. Okay, so reality, right, it means, for example, strategic issues, right? There are so many other strategic issues. In order for us to understand reality more in depth, important thing is we have a different, for example, glasses or lens, right? So if you have more lens, you can understand the reality more fruitful way. Okay. Last but not least, right? Most important thing in business, right? As yesterday Katia-san mentioned, right? Important thing is for us to put those concepts into practice, right? So in order for us to do so, right, we have to learn by doing. So those concepts, learning concept is important. However, more important thing is you learn, you embody, right, those concepts through your own experience. Okay. So important thing is not only from theory to practice, right, but sometimes theory, right, and practice. So this is not, you know, two opposite ways. So these two things has to be linked to each other. There is nothing so practical as a good theory. And this is my favorite quote. There is nothing so practical as a good theory. Okay, so the theory has to complement the practice, and the practice has to help for us formulate theories. Okay, so these things is not theory or practice, but theory and practice are important. Okay, this is the term Albert Einstein's, right? In theory and practice are the same, but in practice, they are not. Okay, so this is the reason why we have to put them into operation, and we have to embodiment those concepts by ourselves through our own experience. Okay? And as I explained, there is nothing so practical as a good theory. Right? For example, right? Maybe some of you might mention, oh, without theory, right, I can do business. Right? You see my restaurant, there are a lot of customers. I have never studied the concept of management at all. Right? A lot of people might say like this way. Right? So that's true. Right? For example, if you play the game, right? Do you know this classical game, the Chinese classical game, or in Western world, do you know chess, the board game? All right? Or if your kids play tennis, right? Or football, that kind of things. So everyone can play football, right? And your kids can start speaking your language, even they learn their grammar, right? However, right? Right? And if you want to play the board game, you can play with your friends or families. However, if you want to go to compete at a higher level, for example, right? If you just play football with your friends nearby your neighborhood, you don't need to study any theories, right? You can just kick the ball. However, if you want to play at a bit higher level, or national level or regional level, right? You need to understand the theory, right? So theory doesn't matter if you wish to aim at the higher level. Okay, this is what I think. Okay. And do you know this picture? Do you know this movie?
Titanic.
Yes. No. Titanic.
Titanic, right? But you know, the very young generation, sometimes they don't know. So you are still with my generation, right? So it's Titanic, right? And do you know that the end of Titanic, what happened? This is a very big ship, right? And in the end, what happened with this ship?
Huge fall down, right?
Right? It's kind of collapsed, right?
Yes.
And a lot of people were died, right? So these things happen, right? So it is said that many people who died on the Titanic, right? The reason is, right, of course it collapsed, but they were not able to jump off the ship until very end, right? Because it's dark, right, in the night, right? So people were scared to jump into the sea, right? So it's same thing in the business, right? It's same thing for everyone. In order for us to survive in the darkness, right? This is quite challenging period for the business person with COVID-19 and Ukraine crisis, that kind of things, right? Our external environment is not that bright, right? But in the darkness, right, we need a light into the darkness. So light shines in the darkness, and it will provide or broaden our horizon. Okay, so knowledge and theories, right, could be similar to that kind of light, right? So the man who finds himself ignorant, right, is wiser than the man who doesn't find himself ignorant. Okay. So knowledge, right, for me, as a light in the darkness. Okay. So if we have a sun, right, or if we have very shining day, we don't need the light, right? Everyone can see the future, right? So everyone can plan, everyone knows where to the fall, right? So everyone can avoid that kind of dangerous place. But what happened, right? There is no light it's very dark road, right? In the dark road, we need a knowledge. We need a light. Okay. So this one, right? What do you see in the picture? Right? If I continue to talk difficult things for 3 hours, you will be sleepy, right? So, right, I try to not you to sleep, but I understand you worked until 5 p.m. and now right away to come to take this class for 9 days. And so I think you can eat and you can relax and you can listen like this way, that way, right? You don't need to listen like this way, right? Okay, I'm Japanese, but I was educated in the UK, right, for a very long time, and then moved to United States, and then I moved to Bangkok, and now in Tokyo. And so I'm not a typical Japanese teacher, right? So when I teach at Kellogg School, right, in Chicago, right, everyone is eating apple or banana, right? And when they have a question, they said, "Oh, I have a question. Stop." Right? And they ask me the question. Right? So there is no, rude thing, right? So you can stop me anytime when you don't feel comfortable. Or you can eat and sometimes you can sleep, right? Listening, lecture for 3 hours and a half on the computer, in front of computer, I know this is very painful, right? When I take the meeting, it's so boring, right? So I understand your feeling, right? So if you cannot concentrate, you can just pretend that you concentrate, or you can just leave for a while, right? However, I try to make, try to provide at least 1 or 2 interesting things, right, during the session every day. And what you feel interesting might depending on you, right? What you are interested in might be different for the person to person, right? So I hope if you can get 1 or 2 or 3 interesting things from everyday's class, I'd be already happy enough. Okay, so this one, right? What do you see in this picture? If I ask you, yes, please. Fish. Yes, very good. This is a fish.
Woman.
And woman. Which one you like? Woman or a fish?
Woman, I think.
Woman, of course. Okay. Does anyone can see anything? Dong-san mentioned the woman and fish. How about Dong-san?
Fake people.
Yes, fish and people. Okay. What else? Oh, everyone can see fish and people?
I can see hand.
You can see hand. Yes, you can see hand. Very good. What else?
Table.
Dish. Yes, you can see dish. Right. So I think everyone can see the fish on the dish. Right. And also some people can see the female face. Right. On the mirror or something. Right. So does anyone can see only one? Or does anyone have a difficulty to see the female?
Yes.
Everyone can see female face.
I see female.
How about Katya-san?
Close eye.
Yes, I see the female as well.
You see the female?
Yes.
How about Tipa Ibon-san?
Yes, I also see the female with closed one eye.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So if you see this direction, right, this is a fish, right? But if you see, right, or if you bend your neck like this way, right, you can see female, right? But if you see a little bit more carefully, right, do you see this character? The spelling G-I-R-L, right? Girl. right? And the other side, this is what they say fish. Okay, right? Oh, so everyone disappear, right? I think that the host computer might have a problem. Okay, so if everyone comes back, we can start it again.
Yes.
Yes, now 22 person. Yeah. Some of your friends are still coming. Now 23. How many students were there? Oh, now a lot of you are coming.
Yeah. 26 people.
26, yes, thank you. So now we have 25, so almost. Is that okay? Or maybe you are too sleepy, so, you know, it was close. So, is that okay for me to restart? Okay, but these things happen, right, sometimes. Okay, this one. Right, so now you see, right, the picture, right? So at first glance, it looks like fish, right? But if you bend your neck, right, you can see female, right? But if you more carefully see the picture, you can also see the character, right? Right? Like this. Okay. How about this? This is a little bit more complicated. I'm gonna give you 3 minutes for you to see. Or does anyone can see anything? What kind of things you can see in this picture? What do you see?
Old lady, that's right.
Yes, bien Samai-san. What did you say?
Old lady.
Old lady. Yes,
Yeah.
thank you. Old lady. Everyone see old lady? No, what do you see? What do you see? Does anyone has any other thing to see? Bien Samai-san said, right? He can see old lady.
Yes.
How about young lady?
Young lady. Yes, Ponkeo sensei. Ajahn Ponkeo said young lady.
Young lady with black hair.
Young lady with black hair. And Bien Samai, Bien Samai-san, right? You see old lady. What kind of old lady you see?
Yes, I see the bottom is mouth and nose and the black color is yes.
I think Ajahn Ponkeo prefer young lady. But Bien Samai-san, right? He prefer a bit old one. So
Old
if
lady
someone
with
like
nose.
old lady, right? People can see only old one. But Ajahn Ponkeo, right, likes young one with black hair. What else you can see? What else you can see? Does anyone? So how many of you see young lady? Can you use the function? Raise your hand. How many of you see young lady? Same as Ajahn Ponkeo. 1, 2, 3.
You can see both, but my nature is a young lady. My eye is a young lady.
Okay, how many of you see old lady? Old lady.
I think many also.
So, how many of you think both old and young? Does anyone can see both? Oh, Katia-san, you like both. You can go young and
if
old.
We see the young one, if we see the young one, and then we cannot see the old one.
Old one. Yes. So, can you help how you can see the young one? And for the person who can see only old lady, how you can see old lady? Yes, Panawas-san. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, can you explain which one you see?
I see both, sir.
You see both. You like both.
Yeah.
You like any kind of female?
Yes.
Just kidding. Yes. So how we can see old lady? Ajahn Ponkeo can see only young one. So how you can teach him the attractiveness of old lady? Yes. Okay. So now with Tousan's explanation, do you see both young and old? Or can you repeat it again for everyone to see both? Or does anyone can help everyone to see both young and old already?
Yes, I also see both young and old. Because we saw only one side, and the young we look the hair is dark hair, but maybe they have some cover with the hair similar. Seem to be old women. They use some cover hairs.
Okay. Siriphone-san said young lady wear clothes. Old one doesn't wear clothes. Okay, so now we are communicating in English, right? Sometimes it's difficult for you to explain. So you can explain in your own language. Pasa lao dai na. So if you use Pasa lao, can you help try your friend now?
Recording in progress.
เอาภาษาลาวก็ได้เด้อคันเว้าภาษาลาวครับได้
สำหรับน้องแล้วนะอาจารย์คันเสียวภาษาลาวเนาะสมมุติว่าสำหรับน้องเนี่ยเบิ่งในแง่นะทรงนะผมสีดำหั่นเอาเบิ่งข้างนี้ไปนะจะเห็นจะบ่โฟกัสที่หน้าดังหั่นนะจะแบบบ่พอเบิ่งตัวยาวมาทางนี้แล้วจะเห็นเบบี้นะจะเห็นหน้าผู้สาวน้อยเนาะ แต่ว่าถ้ากลับกันนะเฮาเบิ่งมุมมองที่อันนั้นจากฝั่งนี้ไปจะเห็นดังยาวแล้วก็เห็นดาวก้มแล้วจะเห็นภาพปกหัวใครเป็นข้างหลังสีขาวนี่จะเห็นเป็นผู้เฒ่า So yeah, I'm trying to explain that when it's easy
now
to
with Pasa Lao, that everyone can see both, or still difficult, or if difficult, does anyone can help in Pasa Lao?
Is the viewpoint to see the viewpoint? Sometimes we change the angle, angle to see, to look in. It's something like an old woman who has some big nose and agoga that they
right. Chin is a bit like this,
yeah,
and very big nose.
Very big nose, yes.
So if you see very big nose, now you can see old already.
Yeah.
Right. But if you see the nose as neck, right?
Yeah.
Then you can start seeing young lady.
Yes.
Does everyone see? Okay, now you see my arrow on the screen like this. Okay, so I just point out. Now Ajahn Ponkel mentioned this is a big nose.
Yes.
And this is big chin. And this is the lip.
Lip, yeah.
Right? Then looks like very scary old female.
Yeah, old female.
Right? But if you look this as ear, this is eyes, and this is nose.
คล้ายๆผมเป็นเจ้าสาวอาจารย์เหมือนสีขาวๆคล้ายๆภาพของเจ้าสาวบ่แต่ว่าสุดเป็นสีดำหักผมคือผมเจ้าสาวผ้าแพรที่เจ้าสาวอันเอาใส่ผมนะ
Yes.
Now you understand.
It has something like a black hair.
Yes, like black.
With hair with somewhat some clothes on the head. The white clothes.
Okay. So like this way, right? This reflects reality, right? Now everyone seeing same picture, right? But if it becomes a little bit complicated, very difficult for us to communicate each other. What do you see? Why you like young lady? Why you see only old lady, right? Then B and 13, it was easy, right? Everyone can see right away. Oh, B and 13. But like this, right? A little bit more complicated. Fish and female, it was easy, right? If you bend your neck, you could see both, right? But this female, right? Even you communicate in your own language, right? Slightly difficult, but this is exactly what you need to do when you conduct business, right? Now, how you communicate, right? You identify your standpoint, okay? As if we see this as a nose, right? As if this as ears, we see this, right? This is a way we communicate in the social science, okay? And the reason why we use case, right, is now you see this old and young, right? How about this? How about this? How about right hand side? Do you see?
Young lady.
Young lady.
Yes. And also
older
old
ones,
lady
right?
also
Right?
big
So it's right. So you can apply the way you see the left hand side picture, right? Old and young, right? If you get this perspective, right, you can apply this perspective to other situations. Don't you think so? So this is the reason why we are using case, right? Everyone was created in different settings. However, if you repeatedly learning a lot of cases, right, we can learn from others' experience. But the difficulty of business is there are so many different perspectives. Okay? So we have to acquire many different theories and frameworks so that we can see many different aspects of reality, right? So now everyone can see both young and old female. Everyone can see, or still difficult? Bien, Samai-san, do you see both?
Yes, sir. I can see both young and old.
Okay. Right. But now you see both, right? Young and old already. Do you see cat?
Yes.
Do you see cat?
Yes.
Meow meow. I'm not sure how the Laos cat cry, but in Japan we say nya nya. Right. But I'm not sure in Laos.
Meow meow.
Meow meow.
Meow.
Right. So do you see cat? Everyone can see cat.
Yes.
You can see.
Yes.
Right on the head. Right. Yeah. There is a cat. Right. But when I show you, right, this picture, no one said you could see cat. Right. So these things happen in the business. If you know one perspective, right, you just write up a way applying to other setting. Oh, I know this already. Young and older female, right? But by applying only your perspective or just by learning from your experience, you will miss very big issues, right? For example, if I come today, right, the cat on my head, right? Everyone say, why, Ajahn, why you put the cat on my head, your head, right? If Bitona-san, right, if she put cat on her head, right? Everyone say, why? Bitona-san has a cat on head, right? Everyone might say, right? So this is very unusual. But if we fix our experience or if we spend a lot of time within same organization, right? Sometimes we cannot see that kind of very clear big issues in the reality. Okay. So these things happen. Okay, so as I explained, so this is the reason why we use case method in the business school teaching, right? Because when we acquire, right, one way, right, or if we see the picture like this way, right, we can apply those kind of perspective, right? And this one, right, require different perspective. But if we only try to apply our perspective, right, only that, right, you would miss very big issues. Even people put the cat on the head, right, very easy to miss out. How about this? What do you see?
อาจารย์ขอตอบเป็นภาษาลาวเห็นผู้หญิงกับผู้ชายอยู่แคมป์ทะเลแล้วก็มีต้นไม้
Yes, Poo In and the Poo Chai standing, right, in front of lake.
อยู่แคมป์น้ำอาจารย์
Anyone? Does anyone can see anything as well? I know Laos, Luang Prabang, right? It's a very beautiful place, right? There you have a mountain and some sort of pond.
Baby, teacher.
Yes. Baby.
Yes.
Oh, so does everyone see baby?
Yeah. Yes. Baby sleep.
Baby is sleeping, right?
Yes.
But some people cannot see baby. How about Tosan? Do you see baby? Oh, this is only, for romantic person can see baby. How about Pana Walsan? You cannot see baby, right?
Not see baby, but I see only similar men and women stand.
If you go to pray at the temple,
yes,
right?
Man, they were man.
Vaipura. If you do Vaipura, you can see baby, maybe. How about other people? Do you see baby?
Yes.
Yes. So if someone who can see baby, can you help Tosan and Pana Wasan see the baby? They see only male and female.
Yes. If we see.
Or you can use Pasa Lao as well.
Okay. พนาวุฒิเอาเบิ่งอยู่ทางเทิงจอมๆทางงามไม้จะเป็นหัวเด็กน้อยแล้วก็มีตามีตังเราลงมาแล้วยกมือสองแขนขึ้นนอนอยู่จังซี่เนาะแล้วก็ตีนเราบอนอันหักไม้กองหักไม้ตัวโค้งๆหั่นนะแม่นตีนเรายกขึ้นพอเห็นบ่
หมายว่านะมีสองผัวเมียเนาะแล้วก็เด็กน้อยอยู่ในท้องอยู่ในครรภ์นะความหักจะเกิดมาจากสองคนผู้หญิงซ้ายแล้วก็มีเด็กน้อยกำลังผู้หญิงตั้งครรภ์ว่าซะ
เห็นแล้ว
How about that? Now,
yes, he can see already.
Now
I
they
can
can
see
see. So everyone can see baby and male and female in front of the pond. Okay, so if you see this, if you acquire this perspective, this is slightly different from that old and young lady. Right? So if you can see, how about this one? What do you see?
Lady with beautiful hair.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's same thing, right? This perspective can apply to the other picture. Does everyone can see beautiful lady with the hair like Venus?
Yes. เห็นผู้หญิงผมงามๆแล้วก็มีผู้ชายนางโงนหินแล้วก็เห็นเหือใบอันนึง
Now everyone can see, right? So like this way, right? But why the reason why we are acquiring a lot of theories and framework, right? We are trying to see realities from many different perspectives. Okay, so why we need a strategic perspective or accounting perspective, right? By acquiring that kind of knowledge, right? We try to understand the reality, right? More fruitful way. Okay. But how about this? Before, right, what we saw but something what we are similar with, right? So we can say this is nose, this is an ear, this is eyes, or this is a pond, this is a female, this is hair, right? We could use that kind of term. But in the business reality, in the social science, sometimes we have to communicate, right? That we have never seen, right? So if we are not familiar with, it's not easy for us to communicate, right? If everyone knows that objectives, it's relatively easy for us to communicate, right? But how about this one? Does anyone can see anything? It's white and black thing. Does anyone can see anything?
Another island.
Island, or looks like island. So white part is like sea, and the black one is like island.
Yeah.
Yes. What else? What else do you see? Right. This one is slightly difficult for you to communicate or see something. Right. I give you a little bit more time. Now you are using a lot of perspective, right? We have studied like this way, that way, or using this way.
Difficult to see what it is.
It looks like sea.
Sea and mountain.
Oh, sea and mountain. Okay. Does anyone see anything?
I think map.
Pak Sabi-san. Yes, what do you see?
I think look like map.
Map. What else?
Yeah, it's quite difficult to see, but it looks like a complex communication in this picture.
What? Yes.
It's a quite complex communication as I see. Yeah, as I see from the picture.
Okay.
It's quite complex. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. How about Bien Samai-san? Yes.
I look like have a two some kind of animal, something. But I'm not sure what kind of animal.
You see two what? Two
animal, like a dog or something.
I give you a hint. Do you see any people inside? This is people, person. Any person?
I think island on the sea.
Island on the sea.
I think kind of animal picture.
What?
Kind of
animal pictures. Animal. What kind of animal do you see?
I see look like chicken.
Chicken. Do you feel hungry?
No.
Kaya.
Thank you.
What else do you see? Does anyone can see anything?
I saw the black and white.
Black and white.
Yeah, and skin is the bird. Bird fly.
Oh, bird flying.
Yeah.
Anything else? Do you see some couples? The male and the female? Does anyone can see male and female? No?
Yeah. Yes.
You see. Yes. What are they doing?
Two picture look like a male. One male. Yeah. ยกแขนขึ้นนะ
What are they doing?
อย่างput put hand
put the hand
yes and this one look like a face male
yes does anyone can see male and female or one yes
No, I can't see. Anita
you cannot
can.
see Nita-san can you explain yes Katya-san yes
I also said turtle.
Turtle
Yes.
do you eat the turtle
Yeah. It's similar, but I'm not sure. I see two of them.
Okay. Nita-san, can you explain in Pasa Lao to everyone what you see?
โดยคือโตกำซ้ายเนาะมันจะคล้ายๆหนาของปูซ้ายนะแต่ว่าเรากำลังยกมือเนาะคันเฮาเบิ่งรูปเนาะในเบื้องรูปคือกันสังเกตดีๆเนาะมันจะเป็นคือผมหยิกๆกันนะแล้วก็จะมีดังแล้วก็คอเราประมาณนี้มันจะเป็นหน้าของผู้ชายแล้วคันแม่นท้องเหี่ยงคางเนาะมันก็จะเป็นรูปเดียวนี่แหละต่างแต่ว่ามันนอนปิ้นหน้าลงซื่อออกบ่
เห็นคือกันเบิ่งอะไรนิต้าเบิ่งอะไรก็บ่เห็นหยัง
เห็นคือกันกับนิต้าว่าเป็นรูปอันผู้หญิง
เห็น
มีสองหน้าคือกันสองหน้าแต่ว่ามันจำแนกบ่ออกว่าตัวใดเป็นตัวเบื้องรู้สึกว่าเบื้องขวาเป็นเด็กน้อยเบื้องซ้ายเป็นผู้ชายที่ว่ามีหนวด
เห็นแต่ตัวใกล้นุ่มนะคือผู้ใกล้
หิวเข่าแล้วอันนั้นนะ
แม่น
ใช่
เบิ่งคืออัน
ครับ
เห็นผู้ชายนะ
เห็นได้ไหม
dancing นะ
เห็นได้ไหมครับ Did you see the picture male and female or everyone can see only chicken
sir I see the male and female like
what are they doing
they like the dancing on skates like
yes like dancing like it's more like formal dancing
yes
right
on like the ice
right male is wearing like tuxedo
yes
right the very formal wear and female wearing like beautiful dress
yes the white dress
and female wear like high heel the very tall shoes
yeah
right so like this way right it's much more difficult for us to recognize something that we have never seen right so like this way this is hair of the male and this is hair of the female and this is hand and this is a high heel the leg doing like this right and there are some other couples as well right this is one couple this is another couple this is another lady male lady male do you see
yes I see
yes
right
I
now
can
you
see
see or we right to the other side. So if you play the game, the chess or board game, right, the strong person is not looking, right, your board from your own perspective, right? You always move to the other side, right, to see the board from the opposite side. Okay, so good business person can do that. Okay, so it's same things when you run business, right, or management, right? I would like you to acquire the many different perspectives. Okay, so the important thing is framing issue is the key for the business. How are we gonna frame the business issues or strategic issues? Okay, so regardless the answer is right or wrong, right? How to set up the question is important. Okay, not something like find out right formula. There is no right formula. Okay, but the important thing is how you are going to set up the questions. So there is right way of setting up the questions. Okay, so you have to run the way of discussion. Right, this is exactly what we have done now. Okay, so improving problem solving, right? In order for us to solve the issues, right? We need to be aware of the issues. Okay, so there are no big difference for me in the capability among people, right? Because I have studied at the UK, right? Very one of the oldest university in the UK, and then I moved to Kellogg School in the Chicago Northwestern University, and then I moved to Chulalongkorn University, and I teach at Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, and Beijing University, and also many universities in Tokyo. Right? However, for me, the ability of people, the level of students, I don't see that much big difference. Right? But the ability to set up the question or ability to find out issues or ability to identify issues, I see a lot of difference. Okay, so the people, once you identify the issues, the people can overcome those issues, right? But without recognizing the issue as an issue, we cannot approach to the issue. Okay. So I think I talked a lot. So maybe we're gonna take a break for 5 to 10 minutes, right? And then